Hello everyone. So I now have the privilege of trying to pick out some of these ideas, and it's not easy because there are so many, and I'm so actually privileged to be able to have you three here and just comment briefly, and then maybe it will elucidate some of the things that you heard. The first thing I would like to ask the audience though is there anybody who maybe is not sure what PISA is? The acronym of these OECD countries, the Organization of Collaboration, Economic Development, and so forth. These are the privileged countries of the world. These are the people who talk to each other in Davos, in Switzerland. These are the people who support each other economically and who sometimes give some money to the World Bank to help the developing world, you know? Okay, so this test is not written by South African 15-year-olds. And the framework that Professor Lauerman talked about is strange to us because we are not PISA people. But PISA is very, very big in the world, and if you're interested, do follow the Twitter comments of Andreas Schleicher, who is the head of PISA, right? Okay, so that's that. I think what I would like to point to is what covers what Ari and Yari and Anni have said. If I have to summarize it in one word, it's value, ethics, value, care, value, education, value human beings, value society, value each other, as it goes on and on and on. Whenever you meet anybody from Finland, or if you go to a Finnish school or a Finnish university, or walk in a Finnish street, or get into a Finnish train, you feel it in the air. It's about each other. And you have heard some of it tonight. So first Ari talked about this thing that they share in the curriculum. He talked about the official curriculum. Now, colleagues, we know what the official curriculum is in South Africa, and those of you who have had some contact with myself, I am not a famous person, will know that I do not use the acronyms, because these acronyms take away the meaning. So we have an official curriculum, and it is a national curriculum, and it is, in my view, although it doesn't appear so in the primary school, specifically in the foundation phase, quite a dictatorial curriculum. I'm not saying that it is suggested, it's not a directive, it is a very dictatorial curriculum. It says, thou shalt do this at this time. Oh, forget the kids and what they learn. Thou shalt do this and I shall inspect thee. That to me is dictatorship. We also have an intended curriculum that is beautiful in our national curriculum. It is with the intention to liberate our children from many years, many generations of poverty and suffering. And we want scientists and we want people to know maths, as Annie said in an interview with some media just now, that people learn science so that they can make decisions in their life, in the world in which they live. And that intended curriculum in South Africa is really beautiful. If you study the foundation phase curriculum, you do a discourse analysis of all those pages, wow, it's a long curriculum, you find the intention there. So our National Department of Education, and I do not talk about this ghost DBE, it's the National Department of Education with a minister who made some announcements today, did you see? They really have a good intention here, and I respect that so much. So at the UJ, Department of Childhood Education, and in the flagship program, we do not demonize our Department of Education at all. And we do not look down on anything that goes wrong. That's just a footnote. But I do think that the curriculum, as an official document, is a dictator. The implemented curriculum, the teachers here can speak more about that. It is a hard curriculum to implement. It is a hard curriculum to work towards good and fair assessment. And then it has this visiting aunt. I call her Tante Anna. And she is quite a powerful lady too, because she makes sure that when she comes to visit you in September, thou shalt have thy house in order. The linen will be washed, and you will use this type of bleach and that type of machine, because that's how I shall assess you. In fact, in grade 3 mathematics, I shall tell you which method to use in your little brain so that I can test you. Wow, there, that auntie is a real relationship of that dictatorial curriculum, the official one. And then, of course, the achieved curriculum, which nobody spoke about tonight, so I leave that to you. The achieved curriculum, I think, a teacher sees in a child that moves on to the next year. It is the most difficult curriculum of all. In our school, on the campus, we see how the teachers struggle to do that. We see how they struggle to do what you do with so much ease in your class. I mean, the kids even lie there on the ground and read if they want to. That is an extreme form of self-regulation. And my dear colleagues, what is the aim of education in the 21st century if it's not about self-regulation and choices? So Annie teaches her little kids to regulate their learning under her very firm and caring and knowledgeable supervision. Oh, this teacher in our society, we don't have PISA, but we have Anna and TIMS and PEARLS and pre-PEARLS. We've been demoted now to pre-PEARLS. We're not good enough to compete with the other people in PEARLS, so we in Columbia, we do the pre-PEARLS. What is that saying to us? That the teacher is seen as the person who will implement that curriculum, do so successfully, and then be measured successfully in a way that compares with other parts of the world. Okay, so that's my personal second point of critique through your work, is that these comparisons internationally in the end mean really very little. What does it feel like to be at the bottom all the time? And what does it do to teachers' concepts? I think that's the problem. We don't do the bottom, therefore we are at the bottom. We don't do foundation phase science teaching and maths teaching that is not so much about methods of how children should operate, but about to learn how to regulate yourself, to find your method of learning. Even in a class of 35, it's quite possible. I've seen that. We have a science teacher at Funda Utshabule, which is really worth seeing. A calm classroom where individual kids walk around and learn science. Quite a phenomenon. Okay. One of the other things I picked up, and I can't pick up on everything, is the role of motivation and interest, which they didn't spend much time on, but we know is a big thing in work. And how does a child develop an interest and get motivated? Because there's freedom to be interested and motivated and to discover and so forth. I really liked the comparison between Thailand and Finland that you introduced us to. And I would like the audience, you don't have to put up your hands, but where do you think we fit? Are we Thai or are we Finn? We're so totally Thai, aren't we? We don't have a PISA, but we are so totally, so operational and competency-based and not knowledge and concept-based. Our grade 3 kids can, in maths, really show you all sorts of ways to do things. But if you investigate a bit further, it's hard to find if they understand. I won't elaborate on that. It's a topic for another day as well. I really also appreciated very, very much that Annie said that the primary school science curriculum is qualitative. So they really are able to use language, pictures, video recordings, field experiences, splashing in the river, to develop the language in which they can express their understanding. And that is qualitative. It has nothing to do with traditions of research and so-called paradigms. It is just that they really learn to express themselves. And so, brings me to probably the most important thing that I have learned from my colleagues in science education and the whole education system, is that it is really equitable. Every kid Every student at university has a chance, and it's all free. A South African PhD student can go to Helsinki and not pay 1 cent. Okay. I want to thank you, Jari, for pointing out that variation in teaching is the answer. I think most people who are teachers have a good intuition for that. Variation theory applied to methods, tools, anything. I'm so glad that you mentioned it. I'm also very glad, and I'm nearly done, that you mentioned that our profession is an ethical profession. Every decision we make is an ethical decision. If we make the decision not to teach, or if we make the decision not to think about our methods, or if we make the decision not to study something in depth so that we can understand children, it's an ethical decision. Even as I speak to you here now, I hear the noise in my head. It's an ethical decision. Everything I say as an educator, everything a doctor does is an ethical act. Everything a teacher does is an ethical act. And I think the UJ Childhood Education Department and everybody I know in the school, I think we are working towards that, but we're finding it very hard in a country where we are inundated with negativities. And so I'm not a Pollyanna person. I don't believe that one must put one's head in the sand. We are very troubled. We have a long and bitter history, and we are seeing the effects of it in education. But not too long ago, a couple of decades ago, the Finnish colleagues, Finnish society, the Finnish government, all of you together, decided this is enough. This is enough. We're going to do it in a different way. It took them quite a while, but if you go there, you see their teacher education in action, and the schools, you see that they really are truly progressive. They have a t-shirt. What is on your t-shirt? What does it say? They have a t-shirt. They gave us each one section of your project. It's not a national t-shirt or the universities. It says, it ends with, in teachers we trust. But before that it says, we do not do rating and this and that. In teachers we trust. And I think that's a fantastic ideal. It's a beautiful ideal to work towards. What if the day can come when we can say, in teachers we trust? Yeah. Indeed. And I think the University of Johannesburg is trying its utmost, and I respect the science education department, science and technology and maths education department. I think they work very hard towards it on our Auckland Park campus. But I have a special place for the Department of Childhood Education and its HOD, Nadine Peterson, who are taking such enormous strides to change the face of pre-service teacher education. And I think this is the place to say it, and to say that they are fighting to have the best possible science lecture that they can get, and that they can get the best funding to do the best research, not to make UJ's name great. For me, that's not so important. It's for the children of our country. And that's it.
The University of Johannesburg. Rethink, reinvent.